The following Going Beyond Radio program is sponsored in part by...
Hi, this is Cheryl Knight, editor for Paranormal Underground magazine.
And I'm Chad Wilson, Paranormal Underground magazine's publisher. Every month, Paranormal Underground magazine explores the unexplained by examining topics that range from haunted sites to ufology to cryptozoology. We also spotlight investigators and researchers who continue to pave the way in a field that seeks to answer some of life's most complex questions.
If you want to read about topics like psychic phenomena, demonology, conspiracy theories, crystals and herbology, and much, much more, visit paranormalunderground.net and start exploring the unexplained today. Visit us today at paranormalunderground.net and get a 12-month digital subscription for 15% off the cover price.
From the very edge of the surreal and the paranormal, two men enter to excite your imagination and with one thought provoke understanding. Open your mind as together we seek proof of the supernatural. Beware of what you find as you enter the proof ground. For the next 60 minutes, we will go deep into the paranormal evidence to prove and take control of your voyage into the paranormal. Please stand by.
Did you just see that? Did you just touch me? Somebody just grabbed me. Did you do that?
Now join Don Ford, founder of Voyage into Paranormal Society, and me, Chuck Manning, director of Voyage into Paranormal Society of Ohio, as we invite you to prove it, prove it, prove it, prove it, prove it, prove it. Good Wednesday evening to everyone, and welcome to Prove It Live. My name's Chuck Manning. I'm the owner of the Global Paranormal Network, and actually that owns this very Going Beyond radio station. And with me, as always, is the 40-year paranormal investigator extraordinaire, Don Ford.
Welcome to the asylum, everyone.
Okay, so if this is the first time you've ever heard Prove It Live, what we normally do is we take your best paranormal evidence and we put it in our proving grounds to allow our audience to prove it. And so that's what we do. And if you would like to submit evidence to us and be on the program, we'd love to have you on. We'll talk about your evidence, find out how you captured it, and we'll put it up there for our audience to prove. So if you want to do that, you can do it. Send us an email at proveitpodcast@gmail.com. That's proveitpodcast@gmail.com. Tonight, if you want to call in, we've got a great guest on tonight. A nice woman who contacted Don through our Haunted Like Me website, and she has had several conversations with her son who has passed. I'm not going to say like they didn't sit down and have tea and talk about things. Let's be realistic, but she has had contact and actually has had contact that she's recorded. So that's what's interesting, is that she has there's a lot of things going on in this particular, I'll call it a case, but it's not really a case. I mean, she's doing everything herself, so on advice from Don. So it's great to have her on. This is a really for me, it's a touching. Well, first it started out as a heartwarming thing, a great story about a mom who, not just the mom, but the entire family who, has, been able to speak to the brother, son that, passed away. But actually, this took a very weird twist Monday. And while talking to Sam, is what we're going to call her tonight, while talking to her on the phone, something interrupted our phone call, and we have several EVPs of that excuse me, that interruption that kind of have me freaked out a little bit. And we'll explain that later on in the show. But so do you have anything? Oh, by the way, first of all, like I said, what we normally do is we take your paranormal evidence and we try to let our audience prove it. Well, we normally have 3 topics, but since we have a guest tonight, we're not going to do any other topics. So if you're a regular listener, we're not doing any topics tonight because we got a full plate tonight. But if you want to call us, if you want to talk to the guest or us, if you want to cuss us out or whatever, you can do that on Twitter at G Paranormal. That's at G Paranormal. Or you can call us at area code 313-334-4666 and then enter the code 553-92410#. And
we really encourage people to call us tonight, especially if you have questions for Sam about her case that she's doing, or the tragedy that of the situation she's in and how she's dealing with it, or anything that would come to your mind. Just keep it civil, folks. She's
Right.
not in the paranormal field. She's an actual mother.
Right. And that's the really interesting thing about this is that she's not a paranormal investigator, and although she, since her experience, I mean, she obviously has an interest in what it is we do, but she's not on a team. She doesn't go anywhere to investigate. She's just interested in what we do because she's had contact. So anyway, so we'll get to that. Do you have anything you want to discuss before?
Just that this happens more times than people want to admit. They don't like to discuss it and everything because they feel awkward about it. My hat goes off to Sam and what she's doing. I really encourage her to be careful in the situation, and she has. So just keep it, civil, guys. She is not of the paranormal field, so we don't need any drama on it tonight. Just actual questions.
Look, you don't have to worry about drama. I got my finger on the trigger, so.
Yeah, well, we don't even want it to be brought up in a halfway, or should I say half-ass, situation of any type. Sam's truly going through a phenomenal situation, something that I know I couldn't even imagine one of my children leaving before my time. So she's going through a big tragic situation that she is dealing with extraordinarily.
Yeah, and I'm not, and I even told her in communications that I'm not so sure that I'd be able to do what she's doing. I mean, I don't know, I don't investigate my own home necessarily. I mean, I did one time because of the shadow thing that was on the video, but I don't generally investigate the house, although I do believe something's here, so I don't necessarily, I don't know if I could do that, but this story is it's an uplifting story. I think she's had
Very
success, and she's we have EVP that we're going to play tonight, of things that she's heard from her son. So now, before we get into the story, because we're going to be calling her here in a second, but before we get in the story, I just have to cover this because Aaron Houdini's an idiot. But I think it was weekend before last, he posted he got one of his alter egos that he hadn't used in a year or whatever. This Peyton Johnson, I think is her name. and there's no picture. It's just some kind of anime drawing or something. But anyway, he posts up an article that looks like it came out of a newspaper from this area. Then he proceeds to copy and paste. Man, he copies and pastes a story out of the Daily Mail, which is a UK newspaper, I guess, or at least he got it online at their website, the Daily Mail. And so he copies and pastes the story into this fake newspaper that and changes names to mine, and has me having animal sex with I guess somebody in this township there. Of course, he thinks that Coleraine is a county, but anyway, he puts my name on it and then tries to pass it off as real. And everybody called him on it. I mean, even the people that are friends on his page or whatever, they're like, dude, that's fake. And so anyway, I had to point out on Global Paranormal how big of a fool this man is. There are many discrepancies in his story. So
What, Chuck? That wasn't you?
well, no, well, I will give him this. He did add a squirrel. I think there was like a dog and miniature horses and maybe a cow that were actually involved in the original story, but he added a squirrel. So I thought that was art. I gave him creative points for that.
You can give me a little critique, though. It's got to be a little more believable.
But the moron signed it by in the story. He doesn't know the difference between there meaning over there meaning right. Like their car, and there meaning they are. He doesn't understand the difference, so he interjects them wrong. He uses them wrongly in English, and he used their THERE when he meant THEIR, and gave it away that he had done it. So, yeah, he's just a. But I am kind of getting concerned because people were calling him on it, and the whole time he's like, "Well, I don't know. I mean, it looks real to me," and trying to pass it off as real. When everybody's, I'm starting to get concerned for my safety.
Yeah.
I kind of feel like I'm being forced to, get some kind of order of protection or something from this nut job.
Yeah. You never know when a squirrel will show up.
Yeah. I mean,
I'm sorry.
And all I did was, I told the truth where he couldn't. I mean, so I'm being penalized for telling the truth.
Very good.
Penalized.
Very good.
Do you like that, penalized?
Yeah. That's a good.
So
that's a good.
Yeah. Especially, well, I've heard there's some news breaking out of West Virginia. Apparently, Aaron screwed somebody out of a projector. Not apparently, he did it. I mean, we've got several conversations posted on Global Paranormal about it. And this girl, Maria, apparently has been in contact with state police in West Virginia who are apparently forwarding their case to the state's attorney. So, what's that?
Are we looking at a federal offense?
Well, not a federal, but you're looking at a felony with all this, whatever it is, wiretapping or whatever they call it, wire fraud.
Wire fraud. I thought that was a federal offense now.
No. Well, I mean, there are federal wire fraud things, but there are also state level. So, but anyway, this Marie girl is she's wanting people to know that if they've been screwed by Aaron Houdini, whether it be through, something that he sold and they never got. And I think there are other people out there that have actually spoken to her in the past, but she's saying if there are more people that would like to come forward and jump on this case in West Virginia, then please get in contact with us at proveitpodcast@gmail.com, and we'll put you in touch with Marie, and she can find out if you all can't ride on the same coattails and maybe get your money back.
Yeah, jump on the bandwagon.
Jump on the bandwagon. So we're hoping that helps out a little bit. So
can't hurt. Not me.
We didn't talk. Did we do a show last week? I think we did.
Did we?
I think we did.
Yeah, I think we did, but we didn't. Yeah, we didn't do this police state, but we did.
But we did. But we didn't talk about Boston at all, really, did we?
All we did was, mention Boston and the
about
tragedy
the people.
there, and
Right.
city of Weston, Texas, and the tragedy there.
Right. So, but this whole conspiracy thing going on, I mean, that whole thing is just bizarre. I mean, the behavior of the FBI and the police in the aftermath of the shootout the night before, I'm referring to what they're calling martial law. And for those people who say that, you're nuts if you think what happened in Boston was martial law, you tell me what martial law is. Because when the government tells you you can't leave your house, when they come to your house with guns pointed at you and treat you like criminals, make you come out of your own home with your hands on your head with guns pointed at you, you tell me what martial law means, because that's martial law. I mean, when the government tells you that you have to, with no probable cause, no search warrant, they just went door to door looking for a 19-year-old kid. One 19-year-old kid shuts down 1 million people in a city.
Not only the city of Boston, but the outskirts of Boston.
Right. Yeah, I mean, that included the whole metro area. So,
Yeah.
I mean, we're
not talking about just the metropolitan area of Boston, but there were some small towns outside of there that was getting the same kind of treatment, even though the suspects weren't in those areas.
Right. And but that's the point of the whole thing is, I mean, we don't shut down an entire city for a 19-year-old who shoots 3 people dead and injures 170 people at the 7-Eleven. We don't shut the entire city down to look for him. Okay, that's what happened here. I mean, okay, they were bombs and they went off. Even let's pretend like they actually did the bombing. Okay, let's get past whether they really did it or not, and let's just say they did. 3 people are dead, 170 injured, plus, I guess. But if that had happened at a 7-Eleven with a gun, we wouldn't be shutting the city down and running military vehicles through the streets, and the state police dressed up like Navy SEALs. I mean, everybody's in military gear, going around knocking door to door, forcing families out of their home with no probable cause and no warrant. That, my friends, is martial law. There is no other definition for it. It's martial law.
And we've been mentioning this for a while. It's coming, folks.
Okay.
On a larger scale than what you think.
Okay, so now I'm off my bandwagon.
Yeah. Let's go to a bigger bandwagon.
So
Well, let's not go to a bigger bandwagon, but let's go to a different bandwagon.
Yeah. So, do you have anything else at all?
Just again, the tragedy of this in Boston and in city of West in Texas are both very, very bad.
Right.
And we need to keep in perspective the heroes in both towns that tried to help those that were injured and everything else.
Right. And I'm sorry, for some reason I've just got all of a sudden, as soon as we went live, I just got this rough throat I can't get rid of. All right, so yeah, I mean, that whole thing in West, now, thank heavens it never went into the conspiracy realm too much. But there was a couple of days where they had a missile going into the flames, but that one never seemed to catch on as well as the bombing in Boston.
But they are trying to tie them together.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you're always going to have conspiracy theories, but all right. So right now we're gonna welcome our guest, Sam. We're protecting her identity, and we will be. We will have to mention the son's name because it actually ends a lot of the EVPs. So, but we will be protecting her name. So we want to welcome Sam, who actually, like we said, she called us on Haunted Like Me, and Dawn spoke to her, I believe, for a couple hours the first night, and she has been in regular contact with Dawn, and more recently with both of us. And so we want to welcome Sam. You with us, Sam?
Yes, I am.
Okay, great.
Hello, Sam.
Hi.
Hello, Sam. I am. So actually, Sam and I hadn't really spoken before the last few days, anyway, and the one time that we actually spoke for an extended period of time ended up being a pretty bizarre phone call that we'll actually cover a little bit on here before we say goodbye to Sam, but we're going to cover it even more at around 11:30. But so Sam, why don't you tell us what you can about your story early on, and then right up until the time that you decided to contact Dawn or Haunted Like Me.
Well, what happened was I had a son who was 22, and he died of an accidental drug overdose in August of 2011. And I had always watched a popular show on Sci-Fi where they do investigations. I'm sure you know of it. And I knew about EVPs and things like that, and I believed that you can contact people. I believed in the afterlife. Actually, I had proof right away because the morning after my son died, I was in my house, and I saw him walk down the hallway. He was wearing his favorite yellow shirt. He walked right down the hallway and walked through the bedroom door into my daughter's room. And I stood there, and I couldn't believe it, but I was kind of happy because it made me think, okay, there is life after death. Because, I mean, I wouldn't want to think that my son just stopped existing, that I wouldn't be able to live with that. So I was very happy to have that confirmation that there is life after death. So the next contact I had with him was in the middle of the night. He hit me in the shoulder hard enough to where I was like, okay, what was that? And I realized it was him. And I just, after that, there were many things. He would touch me on the shoulder when I was sitting at my desk. all kinds of stuff. He whispered in my daughter's ear. There was this, for the first month or so, there was a lot of activity. And it didn't dawn on me until December to start trying to record EVPs. I don't know what took me so long. I don't know, but I started doing some research on it, and I found out that there's programs you can download on your computer. And so the first one I tried, of course, is Audacity, which I'm sure everybody knows about. And I started trying to record. My husband and I would sit at the computer, and we would try to record. And finally, we got our first EVP, and unfortunately, I kind of edited it to death because I didn't really know what I was doing, so it's not very clear, so it's not one of the ones that I sent for you to play. But I was asking for him, and I was saying I heard some noise like that sounded like it could be a voice, and I said, "Who's there?" And after a couple of seconds, we heard, "It's Reed." And my husband and I just looked at each other, and we couldn't believe it. And from then on, I kept getting the EVPs from him. There were quite a few more after that. But people have to realize that when you are doing this, you may get other spirits, because I have a whole host of spirit friends now.
Right.
So I've got, sometimes you don't just get your loved one. You have to take every other spirit that wants to talk to you as well.
Right.
Which is fine with me. I mean, I haven't had anything really negative. I try to be careful. I read a lot on the internet, but I don't take a lot of it very seriously, because there's so many websites on the internet, as you well know, and there's so much advice, and you don't know what to believe and what not to believe, and everybody says, some people say use background noise files, some people say don't use any noise, and everybody wants to say, oh, it's not really an EVP, and that kind of thing. So when I got a hold of Don, I felt like I was in good hands, because he had a lot of experience, seems to have a lot of integrity, and is not like your thrill seeker. He takes it seriously, and my story was, at the time when I talked to him, it was still very difficult for me to talk about. So he listened to me and gave me a lot of good advice, and we've kept in touch since.
Yeah, that was going to be my next question. Was okay. So if you went to all these websites, why have you stuck with Don so long?
Well, just because he seems to actually kind of know what he's talking about.
Damn, man.
See, sometimes I have
I
good
know,
sense.
and I mean, I talk to you hours every day, and you don't make a damn bit of sense to me in any of those hours.
That's because who I'm talking to.
Yeah, I
don't
know.
have any sense.
Yeah, that's right. So, all right. So you contacted Don, and Don gave you his his spiel, and so what did Don have you do? Because I know he had you go out and buy a piece of equipment that obviously hasn't worked out very well for you recently, but.
Oh, the ESP field processor.
Right.
Yes, I bought one of those, and for the first couple of months, that thing was awesome. It didn't get my son, but it got me a lot of other spirits, which was still very interesting. I still like hearing from other spirits because, it is interesting. It's kind of become a hobby for me. This whole paranormal stuff it's really interesting, because now it's like it's kind of changed my life. Now that I know that there's life after death, I'm happy. It's like I no longer fear death. And the ESP field processor is a really good piece of equipment. If people don't know, what you hook it up to your little recorder, and it works really good. but mine stopped working after a while. And the woman, I guess it's a husband and wife team that invented it. They worked with me, and they sent me a new one, and I sent back the old one. When they got it back, it worked for them, but it hadn't worked for me. So the new one didn't work at all for me. So I had to send it back. We did another swap, and now I still have that one, but it will work only on one of my recorders and not the other one, which makes no sense because they both have the live audio where you should be able to use it.
Right.
And I still get EVPs off of it.
Right.
But it seems like certain spirits can talk through certain programs better than others, whether it be the recording program or the background noise file that you use.
Right.
When I use the ESP field processor now, I get a woman that I have in the house. She's a friend of my son's. She says his name a lot. She's actually talked out loud in my house without being recorded, just her voice in the house, which has happened to us a few times. We've also had instances of the bedroom door opening on its own, and that's been kind of interesting, too.
Not at awkward times, I hope.
No. Not yet, anyway. Don't give them any ideas.
So for people who aren't familiar with what the EFP is, Don, why don't you explain briefly what?
Oh, did you hear that?
Oh, that was me coughing.
Oh, okay. I think you say, my goodness. Sorry about your cough. Well, the EFP, the EVP field processor is what it is. It has a white noise built into it. And you record real-time EVPs. So you can record, put it on your recorder, just any recorder usually do. I use a Sony. I connect it up. I connect it into the recorder. And then I use an external speaker on the EFP itself so I can actually hear it in real time. And you can either use the microphones that's built in your recorder, or you can use an extended microphone, wireless or wired, and plug it in, and then you can actually... I've had conversations up to, 5 minutes at one time with an entity. And what's remarkable about it, there is no dialogue put into this machine. There's no words put into this machine. It manipulates the energy around and talks from that. Of course, we all know the entities, ghosts, whatever you want to call them, do not have voice boxes. So they have to manipulate the energy. And by doing this, they can talk. And this is what this EFP does. And it's a good piece. It's not real expensive. And you can actually find it on our website as well as on, I believe, Going Beyond Radio, where we've got it put on it. And I believe
we actually did a program. We did a paranormal technology program on the EFP. And if you just type in EFP at goingbeyondradio.com in the search bar at the top, you'll be able to hear more about that. We actually did a little review on the EFP as well. So, great tool. And so Don goes ahead. He tells you to get that. You capture EVPs, but you've actually had more success capturing EVP of Reed with other things, right?
Yeah. He seems to do really well with Audacity, which is, like the simplest program, and you get it for free. And I've gotten most of the EVPs from him on that program, and now that's using your computer's microphone. I bought a microphone. It's a USB microphone that it picks up the lower frequencies as well as the higher frequencies, because, as Don told me, my son seems to come in at a very low frequency.
Right.
So I have to have equipment that will allow me to hear at a low frequency. So I have speakers that will go down very low. I set the program to go down very low. And I've gotten a lot of information from Don about how to edit the EVP so you don't ruin it and you don't ruin its credibility, but yet you can pull out the voice
Right.
and figure out what they're saying, because I have so much trouble. I mean, I'm still learning so
Right.
much, and I've gotten some EVPs that are they're just perfect. You know, they come right out there and I can hear it.
Right.
And that's great. But there's so many of them that are more like, you know, what they call the Class B and the Class C. But when you get a good Class A, I mean, it's exciting. Whether it's my son or not, it's still exciting. But I've gotten information also from mediums. I've visited a couple of mediums and gotten a lot of information from them, and there's a few out there that actually really have a gift, and I ask for a lot of evidence before I put any credence into what they say. I make them tell me a lot of specifics that only my son would know, and that they couldn't look up on the internet and find out or anything like that, because I'm not going to just believe what somebody tells me.
Well,
I know there's a lot of charlatans out there.
Yeah, you
And
even went as far as to take down some things off the internet so they couldn't find it, right?
Yes, I made somebody right after my son passed. Somebody made a remembering page for him.
Uh-huh.
I made my page, that page, my son's original page, my page, and my husband's page. They're all private, completely locked up.
Right.
So when you do a search, even, you wouldn't find it.
Right.
He also had some things on other accounts. I was able to get all his passwords and close everything down, and or lock it up. And so that was, you know, that was good to do, because I don't want people to be able to look things up, because, you know, that when you call the medium to make the appointment, they're going to see your name,
Right.
and they could look, you know, but see, my son and I didn't have the same last name, because he was from my first husband.
Right.
So we had different names, so that makes it a little more difficult.
Right.
But the name Reed is an unusual name, so you know, people could find it if things weren't locked up. So
Right.
yeah, I was trying to protect myself, and I want to make sure that what I hear from the medium is true.
Right.
And the things that I have heard, I really believe that they come from my son, because of the way she says things and the things that he says. It sounds like him. It sounds like something he would say, and there's just I've gotten a lot of good information.
Right. Right. Now, you know there are those people out there who are going to say, well, you know, you're a grieving mom, and, you know, things that barely hit the mark are going to, you know, hit the mark. You know, they're going to be bullseyes in your eyes. But that's not the case here, right?
Right. I'm always very careful not to give them any information, and I let them give it to me. And they've given me, they'll tell me things about my son that are true, things that are not just generalized information, but things that are very specific. They'll tell me how he died. They've mentioned family member names that are very unusual names. And there was a couple of instances with my daughter that were told to me that there was no way, you know, that anybody would know about, and just a lot of things. It appears, from what they tell me, it appears like my son spends a lot of time watching me, because the mediums are telling me things that I'm doing in my office in the middle of the night on the computer, and my son is telling me, Mom, you need to get more sleep. You need to stop reading about paranormal stuff on the computer all night long. You're not sleeping enough. And you know, he gives me all this advice and tells me all this stuff, and I usually say to him, well, you didn't listen to me when you were alive, so I'm not listening to you.
Right, right. which, you know, a lot of people can relate to that, especially that story, because, it's possible. I mean, I have teenage daughters, and I know they don't pay any attention to me now. So I mean, that makes sense. If you can do that when it's your time to move on, and then you can literally spend the time, you probably would, because you didn't do it when you were there. So I mean, that's that I think people can relate to very easily.
Not me. My children listen to everything I say.
Yeah, sure they do.
In one ear and out the other.
Yeah, well, that's for sure. My daughter is 12 now, so I'm entering the teenage years, and I don't want to go through it again, but I have no choice.
Terrible teens.
Okay, so
oh man.
So the first time you saw him was shortly after, but when was the first time you actually heard his voice?
You mean on an EVP or?
No, I guess at any time first, then we'll get to the EVP stuff.
Well, he has talked in the house, just out in the open. We've had a few spirits talk in the house. My husband has woken up in the middle of the night and heard a couple of people having a conversation right next to his head in the room. And he'll have the blankets moved, his feet will get touched, and the first thing we do is we make sure that there's no animal in the room, because we have a couple of cats and a dog. So we always make sure that that it is a spirit and not an animal. And there's been many times. I mean, there was one morning, I remember it was 6 o'clock in the morning. I heard what sounded like Reed talking in the corner of the room, but I couldn't quite make out what he said, but I know his voice. And my husband heard a woman, and we both looked at each other at the same time and said, "Did you hear that?" And we were like, "Yeah." And so we know it's real, because we're both hearing it at the same time, so we know that neither one of us are losing our minds, hopefully.
I guess I should have probably asked that question first. So how, obviously you still have a teenage daughter and then your husband in the house. So how are they handling it? I mean, obviously we can tell that you're doing very well. You like the contact you're having, even if it's not just with your son, but how do they handle it?
Well, my daughter sometimes feels a little left out, because I don't let her get involved too much with the EVPs. She's young. I don't want anything negative to come through when she's with me. I wouldn't want to scare her. Nothing negative has ever happened, though, so I don't think that's that would really be a fear. But everybody in the paranormal field seems to think that you should not let kids be involved in EVP recordings. So I don't have her with me. But if I do get one from Reed, and it's a good one and she can hear it, I will play it for her. And she gets very excited over that. She misses her brother terribly. They were very close. And he will sometimes talk to her. He'll like come up behind her and talk to her in her ear like he used to do when he was alive. And she knows his voice. And he will come to her in dreams, and he will tell her things. Like he told her that he travels all over the place. He used to love Europe. He got to go to Europe on a high school trip before he passed, which was really great for him. And he always said he wanted to go back there. And he told my daughter in the dream that he goes there now all the time. He goes wherever he wants to go in a split second. And he told her that not to worry about him, that he's doing really well, and he's learning a lot, and that he's got permission to travel all over the place, and not every spirit can. So he feels very fortunate, and he wanted her to know that he's not being punished in any way for being a drug addict when he was alive. Because a lot of us were worried. Well, the way he died, is he gonna be punished? What's gonna happen? I mean, what you hear at church and things like that.
Right.
So, we're brought up with different beliefs, and I was brought up that suicide was a big sin, and of course he didn't try to commit suicide, but he did end up accidentally killing himself. Right. So I thought, I don't know what's going to happen to him. But he also told me once when I was seeing a medium that he is being used to help people cross over, and that's his job. And it's kind of like an atonement, but he was very adamant that I know that he's not being punished, and it's just an atonement, and he wants to do the job, and he wants to be like a spirit guide for people and things like that, and he said that he'll always be around me, and not to ever worry that he's going to leave, because he will always be around me.
So do you
you
have any
asked about my
questions,
husband too. Yes, as far as my husband goes, when I play him a good EVP that he can hear nice and clear, he gets pretty excited. When I bring him home a message from the medium that is clearly my son speaking to him, and he knows because of what's being said and their relationship, he knows that it came from Reed. That will get him excited. A little sad, but excited. And then he kind of wavers back and forth between that and sometimes he says, you spend too much time on that computer, and, everything is not paranormal, and, you need to, be in the real world once in a while.
Was that his, is that the way he felt about the paranormal prior to this?
No, actually, he still to this day watches all kinds of paranormal programs on TV.
Oh, okay.
He's always been fascinated with it, yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, I really don't have anybody telling me that I'm crazy or anything.
Well, you want some?
I don't tell everybody though. I don't let everybody know what I'm doing or the contact that I have with my son, because I know there's a lot of people who think that that's either from the devil or that I'm crazy, So I'm waiting to be carted off to the hospital one day, by someone.
Oh, now wait a minute. Now I'm out here for 40 years and I haven't been carted yet that I can remember.
Yeah. God knows he should be, but he's never been carted off. Okay.
Now,
So
I got a question.
Yeah,
you told me once before, Sam, that another one of Reed's friends had passed on too.
Yes, about a year after this boy, well, he was a year older than Reed, this boy died from an accidental heroin overdose also. And they had been friends, and I have since forged a relationship with his mother, and we found out that they had the same dealer, and of course the police don't seem to care about that, but that's a whole other story. But when I went to the medium, she told me that Reed had helped his friend cross over, and that he had his friend with him, and everything was fine. And then I told the mother about going to see the medium, and she latched onto it right away, because she's a grieving mother too. She's, just beside herself over this. And she went to see the medium that I see, and during the reading, the woman said, he's got a friend that's with him all the time, and his name is Reed. And then she said, wait a minute, I know this boy. And she recognized my son. And she said, I've done a reading for his mother at least a couple of times. And so the boy's mother was just thrilled, because she knew that he was with Reed, and that made it seem like he's okay, because he's with a good friend.
That was an interesting fact that I thought should be brought up. And you've also talked about other people that has actually recorded some EVPs for you from Reed.
Yes, there's one that I sent you that was recorded by a friend of mine. Now, she uses those chopped up voice files for background noise, and you know what I'm talking about. I don't like those, and I don't use them because they drive me crazy to even listen to them at all. But she gets very good EVPs. She gets them all the time from everybody.
This is a really good one.
It's amazing. But she got a really clear one that she sent to me, and I sent it to you because it's even though I didn't record it, it is Reed. It sounds just like him.
Okay, so the one that you sent us, this is the one where he loves you both?
Yeah.
Okay, well, I'm going to play it right now, so...
Okay.
Okay, so this was actually captured by a friend who is using some kind of background noise in order to do EVP. Okay, so here it is right here.
Reed, do you have anything to say to your mother and father? They miss you very much and love you.
Now, I don't know if you heard that right at the end, but it says, I love them both, right?
I think it says I love you both.
You both, right. Okay, so here it is.
Reed, do you have anything to say to your mother and father? They miss you very much and love you.
I love you both. I mean, it's plain as day.
Reed, do you have anything to say to your mother and father? They miss you very much and love you.
I love you both.
Yeah, that was beautiful when I got that. That's just, I saved that in like 15 different files on my computer so I wouldn't lose it.
So, Don, is that the one that you you compared to? I mean,
To Reed's original that I had of him?
Yeah,
Yes.
recording of his voice.
Yes.
And when you did that, it was pretty remarkable, the similarities, right?
Yeah, 93.9% that it was the same person talking.
Yeah. Which, this is an actual FBI piece of software that you use, right?
That's correct.
Yeah, it came from the FBI. So it's the same thing that they would use probably in the field in order to verify voices as well. And a 93 point whatever is remarkable.
Remarkable.
Similarities when you're talking about compressed audio.
Right. They're saying 60 to 70% would be outstanding. So at 93.9, that really says a lot.
Right. So because we're talking about audio that is obviously compressed, I mean, if you get it in a wave format, if you compress it down to MP3, you're changing the quality. So by the time you get the file, I mean, it could have been compressed several times.
That's right.
And so yeah, I mean, all right. So that I'm going to listen to that again because I don't know if people can actually hear that or not, but I'll play it a couple of times or one right after the other.
Reed, do you have anything to say to your mother and father? They miss you very much and love you.
I love you both. One more time.
Reed, do you have anything to say to your mother and father? They miss you very much and love you.
I love you both. Man, that's amazing. So
Yeah.
so
It
okay,
really
so
is amazing. It sounds just like him, and I had sent Don a link to a video of my son talking on YouTube,
Right.
and that was when he was alive.
yeah, I remember that. I remember him getting it, and I remember him doing the test. This was a while
Yeah.
ago. This was probably
This
about a
is the
year
second
ago.
test that I've done. The first test was when she originally sent me that.
Yeah.
And it wasn't quite 90%, but it's still fantastic that it was that close. And then this one here was 93.9.
Yeah, so that makes me happy. I mean, we know it's him. I don't know how the spirits get their voices to sound like their own voices when they don't have bodies anymore or vocal cords, but somehow they do it.
Yeah, that's pretty tough. You know, I mean, that's pretty tough to figure out, even for those of us who, you know, we obviously were not talking about a human body, no voice box, no vocal cords, nothing like that. How do they represent themselves in their same voice? So, you know, it's kind of makes you wonder. But if you're nothing but energy, then I mean, if you can manipulate that energy in any way you want, you should be able to do that. I mean,
well, he manipulates a lot. As you found out the other night, Chuck, he loves my cell phone, and he loves to send emails to people as me, which I have told him he needs to stop.
Well, let me explain to folks. I received an email at 5 o'clock in the morning. I think this was Tuesday morning after. No, it might have been Sunday morning, because I think we spoke on the phone Monday night, Tuesday morning, right?
I don't remember.
Like that. But so anyway, I think I received this on Sunday morning at like 5 a.m. and then I received an email from her again at a different email address later on that day. But when I responded to the first one. Well, when she replied back, she let me know that she didn't send that email. But it was sent to a different email account. I mean, it literally was sent to, I think it was sent to my Global Paranormal, but it was sent to my support email address and not my Chuck email address that you were contact. Somehow it ended up at a different email address. So she informed me that she didn't send the first email, which I thought was bizarre.
What was the first email that it said?
I don't remember exactly, and I think I may have discarded it, but it sounded like it came from her.
Well, it said I hadn't heard back from Don. I had sent a few EVP files, and I was waiting to hear back from Don, and I was sending you an email, Chuck, to make sure that you still wanted me to be on the show this week. And I was going to send that email, but his email was only a couple of sentences long, and he didn't sign it with my name or anything.
Right.
And my emails are a lot more wordy than that, and because you know me,
they're
I always have a lot
colorful
to say.
Too.
Yeah. So he sent an email saying kind of the same thing that I would have. Hey, do you still want me on the show? Let me know. And are those EVP recordings good enough? Is that what you want?
Yeah, it was very matter of fact, which is not what I generally had gotten from you. They were the email I sent you later that afternoon was like a big couple of paragraphs. Yeah, it was conversational, where the one he sent that you say he sent was more matter of fact.
Yeah. And that's how, he probably can't do any more than that. He probably does what he can do.
Right.
Just the fact that he goes onto my computer and sends emails is amazing enough.
And it's
and
not
that's
just
not
me
the only
he sent
time.
it to. Right?
There's been other times that he has sent emails. Right. He has posted on my Facebook. He has posted on his Facebook page. And he has interrupted text messages one time between me and my father. He interjected a text, and my father was like, what was that? And I said, I'm sorry, that was not me. That was Reed. And luckily, he believes me, and he knows I'm not crazy. But, I hope he knows I'm not crazy. But he loves to manipulate electronics, and he calls. He calls here. He's called here quite a few times. Just the other night he called. I think it was 2 nights ago he called here.
Yeah, he just called your daughter. When was that?
I believe that was the night before last.
Okay.
He called. I was just coming in the house, so I think he was watching, and he knew I was just getting home. He wanted me to be able to be here for the phone call, probably. The phone rang, and now we kind of know when it says private caller or unknown caller. We kind of know to, watch out. So immediately we turned the TV off, and we put it on speakerphone, and sure enough, it was him, and my daughter asked who it was, and he said Reed, and she was very excited, and she's telling him, I can hear you, go ahead, keep talking, and after that, we just kind of got a few syllables, and then he started playing some music. Music was a very big part of his life, and it's a big part of my daughter's life. She just started writing songs, and she seems to be very talented. And I think he was kind of giving her, like, encouragement, playing music as kind of a symbol, like, I know what you're doing, keep doing it, and that kind of thing. And
inspiration.
Yeah, like because he, they were very close, so he probably misses her a lot, and I'm sure he watches a lot of what she's doing.
But she knew that it was him.
Oh yeah, that's not the first time that he has called her, and he's called her on her cell phone too.
But I mean, he literally speaks, so she recognizes the voice, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, and he has sent, when he first passed on, he sent text messages to a few of his friends, and they were freaked out, and it came from his cell phone, which was uncharged and turned off and downstairs in the basement in a box where all his belongings are. And, how did that happen? We don't know. But there were text messages and there were calls that came from that number.
Yeah, but if you're nothing but pure energy, you don't really care about whether the phone's charged or not.
I guess not.
Right. Batteries are pretty much irrelevant. So
he's basically a battery himself.
Right. He's a big diehard battery, big ever-ready, the Energizer Bunny. So,
well, everyone that I've talked to, the medium, I've been like 4 times to a medium, and every time they tell me that he is just a joy to talk to because he is so willing to talk. He's open, and he's very easy to get, and he's a very strong spirit. And I tell them, yeah, I know.
Well, I'm going to, if we really have captured Reed in our phone conversation, that interruption we had, if that is actually Reed, I will have to agree with that. That was probably the most bizarre 8 or 10 minutes of my life, and it even became more bizarre yesterday when we kind of broke down some of the audio. So yeah, I think I'm going to have to agree with you on that. But
and I would like to send an open invitation for Reed to give me a call. I would love to talk with him.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, and it's funny because that wasn't the only thing. Well, let's we've got some other EVPs before we get into all that.
Right.
That phone call. But okay, so he doesn't have any problem manipulating electronics, and I think that's painfully clear. And so what EVPs have you captured, maybe that we don't have, that we know the first one you mentioned that you edited to death, but I mean, what other EVPs have you captured that you haven't sent us that are between you and Reed?
Well, I asked him one time when his friend first died, I asked him, I don't want to say his name, but I said, do you have him? And I said, your friend's name. And he said, yes. And I said, is everything okay? And he said, yes. And that was it for that one. And then there were...
well, that sounds familiar. So did you send that one to Dawn?
No.
Okay.
I don't think so, no.
Okay. Maybe you just
there were a
talked
few,
to
though,
him.
that I... When I have one that I can't possibly pull out the voice, I'll send it to Don because he's kind of the expert, But I will put it through different programs. Like, I've got different programs now that I've downloaded, and I'll put it through different editing processes and see which one will bring out the voices better without editing it to death, because now I've learned how to do it where you don't ruin the credibility of the EVP or ruin the sound, because if it sounds like him, I want to keep it sounding like him,
Right.
And he seems to need a noise file, whereas I can get some spirits with silence. With him, he needs something. And he even told the medium that once, that I have to play noise files for him. So I try different ones, and there's things on the internet that you can download for free that will give you, like, their noise generators.
Right.
And you have to be careful, a lot of trial and error. You have to be careful not to play them too loud, things like that. You know, there's a lot of trial and error, but, you know, I mean, if somebody is really wanting to contact a loved one, then they'll go through the trouble of finding out how to do it just like I did. I mean, it's taken me a long time. It's been over a year and a half, and I'm still learning every day how to do these things.
Right.
But I've asked him, you know, do you have so-and-so with you? Have you seen so-and-so? You know, and he'll say yes or something like that. And there's been, I can't even remember. There's so many, but most of them are very short, where he really can't, he doesn't say a lot at one time. He's not as good at the EVPs as some spirits are. He's better at doing things like emails and phone calls. But basically, whatever he wants to do, I'm happy, as long as I still get to hear from him.
Right.
Right.
Yeah, why wouldn't you be? I mean, so,
yeah.
So, you know, Don, like we said, Don has been actually working with Sam for, Lord, it seems like probably a year. It seems like, off and on. Maybe not quite a year, but you know, he would tell me the things that you sent, and he would, you know, he'd be working on them while we were in Skype calls or whatever. So I mean, I've been aware of it, but my point has always been that, I mean, you are in a unique situation where paranormal investigators would love to be able to have this continued conversation. You know, obviously it's not something that can be scheduled, but I'm saying you have a continuous dialogue, you know, with your son, and I think a lot of paranormal investigators would be chomping at the bit to be able to do that, at least serious ones. I mean, obviously there are those investigators out there who are completely happy with doing their investigation and submitting, you know, I think I was telling you earlier today, you know, submit their CD and, you know, with pictures and audio and video on it, and then they're content with that. But there's some of us who are not. And, you know, we would, you know, we would love to be in the situation you're in. So I've been telling Don ever since you two have been working together that, I mean, this is great that, you know, we actually have someone who is into it, you know,
but not for the reasons a lot of paranormal investigators.
Right. I mean, you're open to, you know, suggestions that we make that, you know, are not only do they help you, but they actually in the long run could help us, and you know, to understand. And I'll get into a little bit more about that later, but because things have taken an odd twist, but for me anyway. So, but
it's important for people to realize, though, when we first started talking, Sam and I told her that I recommend not doing your own EVPs and stuff like that, because it's important to realize that you might hear things that might not be Reed and someone else, but she seemed stable enough mentally that she could handle the situation. After all, she'd already been dealing with talking to her son and everything else. She did get a little frightened a couple of times, but a lot of the noises and stuff that you hear on EVPs, they're not trying to scare you. They're trying to get your attention. And we talked about that, didn't we, Sam?
Yes, I called you one night in the middle of the night, which is when I usually call you, because we're kind of both night owls.
All the time.
Yeah, it seems like you never sleep. I called one night because I got a recording with my ESP processor and it sounded like there was banging on the walls all around me, and it freaked me out. And then I couldn't understand what the voice was saying, and it sounded like a man, but it wasn't Reed. It was a very deep, deep voice, and it really freaked me out. So I was like, I immediately called Don, and I sent him the file right away, and then he just calmed me down and told me, this guy is probably just trying to get your attention, and he sees that you can hear him, and he's like, oh, wow, she can hear me, this is great, and then starts banging on stuff to make sure that I can hear him, but he doesn't realize that I can hear him too good, and he's actually scaring me.
Right.
But that was the only time, really, that anything scary ever came through. One time I got a guy who was kind of maybe hostile, a little hostile. He didn't want me to be interested in talking to just Reed. He wanted me to be interested in talking to him. So when I was asking for Reed, I said, do you know my son Reed? And he said, never. Like he was hostile. So I just was like, okay, well, that's all right. So you have to realize that, you will get other spirits, and it's fine. It's worth it to me. If I have to get a little bit of negativity, it's worth it. I mean, I know they're not going to harm me. I've been told, what to do for protection. There's all these different ideas about what to do for protection, and apparently I'm doing a good job of it because nothing, no harm has come to me, and I believe my son probably watches over me.
And that's a good thing.
I'm sure he is.
Yeah.
So, well, hasn't he said that he is?
Well, through the medium, yeah.
Right.
Through the medium, he has told me, that he wants me to protect myself and, be careful. He told me not to record so much, and he wants me to concentrate more on meditation. He's very big into the meditation. He said that's kind of like how you can tune in to the spirit world, and that if I were to be able to get myself into a deep meditative state, he would be able to come to me and talk to me like it was a dream, like we were, sitting there talking to each other, and it would be like a dream, but I would be awake, and he'd be able to communicate with me. He said that not everyone can do that, but that I can do that, and he knows I can. So he wants me to do more meditation, and I promised him that I would, and I have not kept that promise. I'm not meditating every day. I kind of I don't know, I don't set aside the time, and I don't do it, and I need to do it because I want to see if it's true. I want to see if maybe we can have more interaction.
Right. Right, and that's a lot of, I guess, metaphysical people in the metaphysical side of this. They swear by meditation, and I think I even mentioned that William Buhlman when he was Jerry actually played a Coast to Coast interview that he had on his program last Saturday, and almost everything and I think I even told you this, that almost everything you were telling me the medium said, he was telling you. It almost sounded word for word what this William Buhlman was saying to George Norrie on Coast to Coast AM. It was just amazing the similarity in his message and in this, according to this medium, Reed's message. So that was kind of interesting to hear. So
Reed was, when I first started talking to Reed, of course I had the questions that everybody asks, where are you? How are you? Are you okay? All that stuff. And he told me heaven and hell are not, it's not like literal. It's not like what the Bible tells you. Not that there isn't truth to be found in the Bible. There is. But he said there's also truth to be found in every religious text, everything out there, and there's truth in every organized religion, but nobody has it right. So it really doesn't matter if you go to church. It matters if you're spiritual and if you're a good person and you have your own relationship with what you believe is God. And that made very, very good sense to me. And he said that it's not like heaven like the Bible describes it. It's more like, it's just like Earth, only it's another dimension, and there are many dimensions and many levels, and he travels around, and there's a lot of learning that goes on. All the spirits have learning, like kind of like classrooms, if you will, and that's why he doesn't see everybody at the same time. Like there's many of our relatives and friends that are on the other side, and he sees them, but not all the time. Because they're all on different levels.
Now,
so they get together when they can.
Right. You know that skeptics are going to say, well, yeah, we hear that from every psychic or medium. We hear the same. We hear the same thing, and we do. Not that they're right or wrong. I'm just saying that we do hear those things from a lot of people on the metaphysical side. Now, and before we get any cards and letters from the haters out there, I will divulge that I'm not a big, huge believer in the metaphysical. So, but I'm open to the possibility, obviously, or I wouldn't be doing what I do. But I've just not seen anything that,
of course, we've got to take in consideration that when I first met Chuck, he was one of the biggest skeptics that ever lived.
Yeah, you all were nuts. 5 years ago, you all were nuts, and so yeah. Okay, so well, let's play. I've only got a total of 3, so I've only got 2 more EVPs that I got in email. So. I'm not sure. I mean, the one I know is about what is it, Griff?
Yeah, about the dog.
Yeah. Now I listen to this, and I don't necessarily hear this. Him repeating it. I do hear something, but it's that electronic sound again. And
yeah.
So you're going to have to probably tell me where this is at in this audio, but. Because there are a couple of spots where, but I don't hear it as plain as, Don, obviously, he's got, those eagle ears. Oh, those are eagle eyes, aren't they? I don't know, but here it is. I'll play it.
Earlier when I did a recording, I heard a dog barking on the recording. Can you tell me who that was? Was that Griffey or another dog?
Okay, so that was it, like shortly after you asked the question, right?
Yeah, you can kind of, when I play it, you can hear him say, you can hear the GR, like the Griff, like you can hear him start to say Griffey.
Okay.
Because the recording that I had done earlier that day, it was so crazy, I heard a little dog barking in the background. And we had lost a dog a few years ago that Reed had actually named the dog Griffey, and it sounded, I could have sworn it actually sounded like Griffey. So when I recorded again, I asked Reed if that was Griffey or not, or another dog, and he says Griffey. It's not real clear, and I may have not edited it real well because I'm not that great at it. I'm better now. But he does say Griffey. You can hear the start of the Griffey. So
yeah, I can tell that there's something there, like just a second or two after you ask the question.
Yeah.
But I can't pull Griffey out of it. But if I already have that predisposed in my mind that he's going to say Griffey, then I can hear it. But I mean, when I listen to the three audio, I didn't look at the titles or anything. I just drug them into my player and listened to them without, reading the title, so I wouldn't have any idea of what was on there. So, and I can hear the especially the first one that we played. I can hear that plain as day. This one I don't hear.
Yeah.
Much, but
Well, I
play
cleaned it
again.
up a little bit, Chuck, but I
Turn it
didn't
up.
send you the cleanup version. What I did was send you the one she sent to us because that's the way I wanted it played.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's fine.
It's very, very light at the end.
Okay. You mean it's all the way at the end of the video, or
No. At
Oh,
the
okay.
end of Griffey.
Oh,
You can
okay.
hear Griffey. It's kind of a little skip to it.
Okay. Well, let's play it again.
Earlier when I did a recording, I heard a dog barking on the recording. Can you tell me who that was? Was that Griffey or another dog?
Yeah. See, I can hear what you're talking about. Why is that so long? Is there a reason? Is there a reason why that's so long?
I don't know. That one doesn't sound as good as it sounded when I play it at my house. I've got several versions of it. I saved it in different programs. It doesn't sound. It's not
Well,
playing
yeah.
very well tonight.
Well, yeah, well, I'm actually playing it on one computer. It's going through my mixer into Skype into another computer. So I mean, plus it's compressed. If you send it in a wave, I've compressed it to an MP3 in order to play it. So, yeah, it's probably going to sound a lot different, but
Yeah.
But
It sounds a little electronic-y, like
Right.
it's been edited too much. That could have been me, or it could be the compression. I don't know. I always work with WAV files, even though it takes up more room on the computer.
Right.
I don't care because I don't have a lot of crap on my computer anyway. So I just go ahead and do the WAV file because it's uncompressed and I can get better sound quality. But that was an interesting EVP because the dog barking was very cool. That the fact that he has our dog, that was very nice. My daughter was thrilled over that one. Unfortunately, the original recording of the dog barking was lost. I could not get it from my computer. It was like it was taken off the computer by I don't know who, but it was gone. I did a search for it, and I tried. Usually I can find a file, and I couldn't find it anywhere. So I don't have that dog barking because I thought that was neat, and I would have loved to have sent you that one. But
That would have confirmed the answer.
yeah, it would have, yeah.
That's why I say when you do these, you got to keep your original. You got to keep it in a separate deal so you don't lose them. I use a lot of USB to save my stuff. Don't leave it on the computer. I put it on the USB, and that way I can go back to it at any time and find it, or a different system altogether, DVD or something, to where I've always got it handy to where I can bring it back up. Now, unfortunately, when you have children like I have, things get lost. So you can't always blame it for disappearing on me or anybody in
Yeah, I
particular,
can.
but it happens.
Yeah, I can.
But the important thing is you don't give up trying if that's what you're wanting to do. I commend you tremendously for what you're doing. And if you want to quit, of course, that's your prerogative. But as long as you're feeling safe and good about what you're doing and everything, hey, go for it.
oh, definitely.
Yeah, go ahead.
There's another EVP that I sent you. I don't know if we have time for it or not,
I've got
but it's I think I entitled it "A Stranger Gives His Name," and this one, if you have time to play
Yeah,
it,
I've got it.
it's
I'm gonna play it right now.
it's a good one.
Well, I think this is it. I'm not sure. I can't really see the title, but here it is.
If you can say anything else, like what is your name?
What is that saying?
It's
Play it
saying-
again.
I've played it like 1,000 times, and I can't make it out.
Really? I thought it was so clear. When
No,
I heard
no,
it,
it
and when
may
a couple
be
of other
clear.
people heard it, it was so clear.
Yeah, it may be clear, but I'm old.
Oh, God, what
Okay.
does that make me?
Yeah. What does that mean? Okay, here we go. I'll play it again.
If you can say anything else, like what is your name?
It sounds like 2 syllables to me.
It's 2 names.
It's actually, he's saying Mark Ellis.
Mark Ellis. Okay, here it is again.
If you can say anything else, like what is your name?
There's actually something before you get done. It's the same grunt noise. Listen,
I don't know.
listen. This is like just before you say the last word. There's like a grunt, and then you say the last word, and then he says what he says. Now listen.
If you can say anything else, like what
Hear
is
that
your
right there?
name?
Listen. It's just listen. It's almost that same noise. Listen.
If you can say anything else, like what is your
Hear that?
name?
There's something right after. If you can say anything else, it like makes that what sounds like a grunt, but it's actually just a faraway voice, like they're on the opposite end of a large room.
Yeah. That one actually is, if when I play it, and when Don played it, it's very clear. That he says Mark Ellis. It comes through very, very clear. I don't know, maybe when you play it on the radio it doesn't come through as well. I don't know, but when I play it, it's really, really clear.
Well,
So
it may come through clear on the radio, but I have to control the volume on everything for my old ear. So so everybody's like at a different volume, so it may just be affecting me that way. But let's play it one more time.
If you can say anything else, like what is your name?
Can you hear that, Don?
Yes, I hear it.
Yeah, something before he says his name. So there's something else there. So obviously now I'm going to have to terrorize this
If you
audio.
can say anything else, like what is
Yeah,
your
he's
name?
saying like it's almost like, yeah, of course I can. Yeah, listen.
If you can say anything else, like what is
Mm-hmm.
your name?
Well, stop talking and I'll tell you. Yeah, I don't know, but there sounds like there's something else there. So yeah, I can hear things at my age, but I can't. Like Don can pick the stuff out. He knows exactly what they're saying, and although I can hear things like I heard that sound in between there, but I there's no way I could tell you what. I couldn't even hear him say his name. Even no matter how many times I've played it tonight, because I played it like 100 times before we came on air just so I could tell what it was saying, and I never did get the name out of it. So I see.
Yep.
I would have to take that audio, put it on Audacity or something else, and then I have to like amplify the hell out of it just so I can hear the name. So
When I recorded it, I recorded it in Audacity with no noise file at all. It was just in
Right.
silence, which is great. Reed never comes through that way, but other spirits will. And that guy, when I heard it, I played it for my husband, who usually can't hear them very well. He does not have an ear for this stuff at all, and he even heard it right away and
Right.
knew what the guy was saying. So that it is a very good one, but it's just, I don't know, it's not translating good for you tonight. But at least we're able to have, at least you got that first one.
Yeah,
that
you
was him,
can't-
that when he says, I love you both. That's a good one. I'm glad that one translated out well.
yeah, you can't go by me because you can ask Don. I mean, Don, I've listened to Don break down hundreds of hours worth of audio, and I rarely hear the things. There are maybe a time or two out of a dozen where I'll catch it, but he's got to amplify the hell out of it for me to hear it for some reason. But it might just be my mindset that everything's not an EVP, and I may not be open to hearing everything that everybody else hears. So I don't know, but okay, so. So what do you plan on doing? Do you plan on continuing what you do? I mean, your EVPs, your your EVP sessions? I mean, are you going to continue seeing your mediums? Are you going? I mean, everything is going to. I mean, you're content. I mean, I guess I'm trying to, because there are people out there who are going to listen to this program. It may be a mother who lost a son recently, and I mean, what kind of advice can you give them? I mean,
well, everybody is different as far as their comfort level. I know my father, for instance, will not even, he doesn't even want to discuss this stuff. I mean, he'll listen to me, but he doesn't want to get involved. He's like scared to death of the spirit world. He believes in it, but he's scared to death of it. So, he wouldn't be one who would want to do this. As much as he misses my son, he would not want to do this. But there's, some people are very adventurous and they're not afraid. And with me, it was like when my son died, my whole world came crashing down. And then when I started getting this confirmation that he's okay, and he's, there is no death. He's just in another dimension, but he's still him, and he still exists. And that gave me hope. That made me able to go on and live a relatively happy life. I mean, there's always going to be that grief, that hole in my life. But I have my daughter, so I have to go on, and this helps me because I have the contact with him, and even if I don't get a visit from him or an EVP, even if weeks and weeks go by, I know that he's okay. And every once in a while, he'll check in, and I'll feel a touch, or I'll hear a voice, or something will move, or an email will be sent, a text message or a phone call or something that lets me know, yeah, I'm still here. I'm still watching over you. Don't worry. And that keeps me going. So any mother that, it's the worst thing in the world to lose a child, for any reason. If you can keep any kind of contact, I would advise anybody to try it, unless you're afraid of that kind of stuff. Then you shouldn't try it, because you have to go into it with the right attitude.
Right.
I believe that if you go into it and you're all scared and I think you're probably more likely to attract maybe lower level spirits that might be a little hostile. There's a lot of them out there. Luckily, I think like attracts like, and I go into it with a pure heart, for a reason, and not just for fun.
Right.
And even though it has become a little bit of a hobby, because when I get the other spirits, I do get happy over that. I like communicating with anyone.
Right.
So it's just more confirmation. I ask them questions like, "Can you see me from where you are?" Most of the time, they say yes, and I'll ask them like, "Are you happy where you are? Is it a nicer place on that side than on this side?" They always say yes. And I'll say, "Are you communicating from right here in the house next to me, or are you far away?" And sometimes I get right with you, and sometimes I get far away. So it's I'm getting a little information that's kind of neat to have as well.
Right. And I think I told you this earlier tonight when we spoke on the phone that a lot of times what we experience as or what we see like on YouTube and on teams' websites is they ask the same silly questions. Like, what is your name? What year is it? Who's the president? Who cares? Is what I say. I want to know, is there a heaven or hell? What's it like where you are? How do I get there without leaving my or dying, I guess? How do I get where you are? Like your son said through the medium about meditation. That's the kind of answers I'm looking for. And so I was telling you that on the phone. I mean, that's just what they do nowadays for some reason. Everything is, some kind of stupid question. And I'm explaining to you on the phone, I'm like, if I'm an astral energy being, and I'm floating through your time space at the time you ask that stupid question, I'm probably just going to want to smack you. And I mean, probably not. I guess if I'm if I'm in the light side and not the dark side, but anyway, I mean, I'm probably likely to just ignore your simpleton question. So I don't know. It just seems silly. We keep seeing the same thing over and over, though, and people aren't getting to the crux, which is, where are you? I mean, do I have to die to be there? I mean, can I leave my physical body and come to you on occasion? And all the things that you seem to, your son seems to be translating through the medium to you are the questions I want to know. And so that's why it was the whole story was just so fascinating to me.
Well, maybe they're not asking meaningful questions because they're not emotionally invested like a mother would be who lost her son.
Well, they're not emotionally invested in the field either, because seriously, I mean, what does Barack Hussein Obama, even if you get that reply, how does that help us in any way as investigators, as researchers?
There's no information there about the other side, and we all want to know about the other side because everybody's afraid of dying, and everyone wants to know is there something else or is there not something else? And with me, I wanted to make sure my son was okay. That was my motivation.
Yeah, see, your story's a little unique, obviously, because you're not a paranormal investigator. You're a mom, and so that's why the story was really so interesting to us. And I really want to thank you for coming on and sharing your story. I'm glad you could make it the whole way through because we were kind of concerned. At the beginning, obviously, with the things still being what they are, and so we're really glad that you came on. And John, do you have anything else before we let Sam get back to her real life instead of playing with us paranormal folk?
Sam, it's always a pleasure to talk with you. I thank you very much for coming on and sharing your experience with us and our audience.
Anytime.
And I hope and pray that you will continue to have your contact with your son, and tell Reed next time, like I said, he's more than welcome to contact me anytime he wants. My 24-hour hotline, 972-704-5310, and I would be glad to talk with him, or anybody as far as that's concerned. And thank you again so much.
Okay, well, thank you for having me.
Thank you again, Sam.
All right, thank you.
All right, bye-bye.
Good night.
Bye-bye.
Okay, so that is a great story, and I know that just from the conversations I've had with her, that we will be hearing much more from her, as long as she continues her communication. And Don and I have talked about this several times. I mean, her situation is unique. I mean, I don't know many people. There may be one or two who have, continuous contact like she does. And it may just be because the way investigators work. They go to a home, they investigate, they turn over their evidence. They're done. That kind of thing. But she's never done. I mean, she's just constantly going. But we're going to take a quick break, just a couple of minutes, And I need to get, well, I got to take my old rear end to the restroom. So that's just the truth. I need to take a leak.
I'm sure our audience.
I know. There's just really no
backgrounds.
other. There's just really no other way to put it. I mean, to be honest, I mean, there's just. I can't really think of any other way to put that, but unfortunately. So we're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, I'm going to play this audio. It's I'm going to play a little bit of what it sounded like when we heard it, and then we're going to break it down into some pieces where Reed or something reached out for help from me. And I'm not exactly comfortable with it. So we're gonna find out why when we come back. So stick around.
You are listening to the best in live and podcast alternative entertainment. GoingBeyondRadio.com.
Hey everybody, this is Jerry Williams with Jerry Williams Paranormal Radio and also Jerry Williams Conspiracies. You can check out our show beginning at Thursdays at 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for Conspiracy Radio, as we talk about the Illuminati, the Federal Reserve banking system, 9/11, the chemtrails, and more. Also, on Saturday, beginning at 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, check out my show on Jerry Williams Paranormal Radio, as we talk about demonology, the paranormal, and more. All beginning at 11 p.m. on Thursdays and Saturdays, right here on GoingBeyondRadio.com.
Psst. Hey, yeah, you listening right now. Why don't you host your own show? Don't know where to begin? That's where I come in. Hi, I'm Chuck Manning, producer of live entertainment here at Going Beyond Radio. It's my job to make, well, your job easy. Since all programs are fully produced, it leaves you completely free to simply entertain your listeners. And since Going Beyond Radio is available on many platforms, your listeners will have it easy finding you. So visit GoingBeyondRadio.com for more information and start your free trial today.
Once they strip the rights from you, you will pay hell to get them back.
Senator Lindsey Graham says, quote, "The homeland is part of the battlefield, and people can be held without trial, whether an American citizen or not."
This whole idea that we're supposed to sacrifice liberty for security, we were advised against that. Don't we remember that when you sacrifice liberty for security, you lose both?
The Police State, Thursdays at 9 p.m. Eastern, only on GoingBeyondRadio.com.
Monday. Let me get a hold of Paranormal Activity. Paranormal Activity 5 would be this.
10 p.m. Eastern.
Fade in from black, the creator walks out in front of the camera. A tip to the hat of Alfred Hitchcock, if you will.
The Dick Cabeza Show.
Walks out in front of the camera and kills himself. Credits.
The Dick Cabeza Show.
That would be the best Paranormal Activity movie ever.
Monday nights, 10 p.m. Eastern, only on Going Beyond Radio.
Hey everybody, this is Jerry Williams with Jerry Williams Paranormal Radio and Jerry Williams Conspiracies. I'm here to tell you today about a good radio show you need to tune into. It's a couple of my friends, well, one of them are my friends, at least I know. I don't know which one. But I can tell you this much, one of them likes chocolate and whipped cream on chocolate with whipped cream on something else. And the other one, well, he's just downright crazy. That's right, I'm talking about Don Ford and Chuck Manning with Prove It Podcast.
Thank you, Jerry Williams. Thank you, Jerry. This is Jerry Williams. He gets that. That noise you just heard was what I listened to while talking in the about 45 minutes into a conversation with Sam. This would have been Tuesday morning, I guess, Monday night, Tuesday morning. And about 45 minutes into this conversation, and, well, actually, there were little breaks in the conversation similar to this, not quite on this level, 3 times before this actually happened. And I'll let you listen to some more of this, but this goes on for about 9 minutes, 9 minutes and some odd seconds. This particular section is only about 6 minutes long, but I'm not going to play all of it. But this is what it sounded like for this. I mean, it probably would have kept going, but I hung up and called Kelly. Called what's her name? Sam. Called Sam back, and so here it is. Okay, so that's what I listened to. Now, I granted on on this file, and also when I converted it, this doesn't sound exactly like what I heard on the phone, because I could literally hear words. So I would ask questions, and I could hear words. Not that I could make them out, but I could tell somebody was talking, and or trying to talk, and so I asked specific questions, since I was talking to Sam on the phone. I obviously I was asking questions about Reed, and throughout the call, and we did actually pull out several reads in that gobbledygook there. But what's more troubling is that we actually pulled out several pleas for help. Now, it's hard for me to imagine what kind of help an astral being, I guess, would need. And if it were Reed, what kind of help would he need? Given that he, could be a spirit guide or, help people cross over. I don't know. But there are several mentions of my name. And we do, like I said, Sam actually recorded the call on her end as well, and we just got that audio, I think today or yesterday. So we're going to match it up and make sure that we're not hearing maybe her through this mess, but neither one of us could hear each other through this noise. So eventually, like I said, after 9 minutes, we eventually hung up, or I did, in order to call her back to see, if she was hearing the same thing. And I assumed she couldn't hear me because once or twice I actually said, if you can hear what I'm saying, if you can hear me, Sam, then go ahead and hang up. And but she never did. So... but this is what we managed to pull out of some of it, and granted, some of this is going to be, loud, and some of it's not. But here's what we managed to pull out.
What is your name?
Now that is I don't know if you heard that, but it's hard to mistake that for anything but Reed. And I mean, it was, listen, my ears are damn near shot, and I could hear that one as clear as day. So I'm going to start it again, start it over again. Well. Maybe.
What is your name?
Okay, so, well, I think this next one actually has a couple of help me's, or, there. Do you remember the sentence that was said in here?
I believe it was, help me out, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, and there's a, it sounds like there's a missing word, like there was a skip, and we're either missing a syllable or a word or something like that, but I'm going to play some more of this. Now, did you hear that? Help me out. I mean, that is, even for my silly deaf rear end, I could hear that, but...
You might want to listen with headphones on if you are listening at home.
Yeah, I may have this up too loud, but for the radio, but here we go. Help me. Then there was a pause, and then it said something else there just before I shut it off, but I'm going to turn that back a little bit.
Why are you interfering in the phone call?
Did you hear that? I mean, it flat out says help me out or let me out.
I believe it says help me out.
Interfering in the phone call. Is this you? Reed, what do you need to say to me? I'm having trouble understanding. What do you need to say? I'm going to hang up now, Reed. Okay?
Okay, so did you hear that at the end where it sounds like thank you, Chuck? I'm going to play that again real quick. Okay, now I have that separated because before I say I'm going to hang up now, just before I say that, a voice and it's a distinctive male voice. It says Chuck, and then I say, okay, I'm going to hang up now, okay? And then at the end it says, what we believe is thank you, Chuck. And I'm like, thank you. Well, first of all, for what? But but anyway, so here's that. Let me pull this up here. Here's the one. I think this is the one that it just says Chuck. So. Oh no, that's the thank you, Chuck. Now,
what is your name?
Oh, cut it out. All right, here it is. Now that's it, right at the end of that audio that you just listened to, and I mean that's it pulled out and cleaned up, and I mean that's it sure sounds like thank you, Chuck, to me. What did you hear, Don? Anything?
That's what I heard. I heard.
And I think this is.
I believe it's okay, Chuck, and then at the end it's thank you, Chuck.
Oh, okay. So here's that. I think this is the Chuck one. Yeah, there it is, right there.
What is your name?
You stop it. All right, here we go. I'm going to run it through a little loop here. I mean, so you're saying that there's a word before that I must have missed?
I believe so. If I remember correct, it's just a light K, Chuck.
Oh, okay.
And I'm not sure. I might not have.
I mean, that's on here. It's on. I mean, it's on the one that you sent me. Let me get to it. Fast forward to here, I think.
I'm going to hang up now,
Yeah,
Reed.
see? You're right. I mean, there is something there.
I'm going to hang up now, Reed.
Yeah, it might be okay, sure.
Okay.
Okay, so, all right. So, anyway, this happened over and I'm telling you, while this was happening, I'm hearing that other gobbledygook, and I'm only picking out, very few words. But I definitely heard that thank you, Chuck, and it freaked me out because I'm thinking, well, maybe it's just Sam on the other side, and it's not. I mean, it's just not because she never said that. So, but I am going to match up the audio that she recorded to the audio I recorded, and just to verify that. But my concern is that there's something somewhere that needs help, and I can't imagine what kind of help a flesh and body person could provide a spirit or an astral being. I don't know what kind of help that would be, and I'm hoping to, well, God or whatever it is you believe, that they're not wanting me to spread some kind of message around the world. Because there's no way that I'm going to, there's just no way I can do that. I mean, there's no way that I can just be that guy. Did we ever figure out who that guy was that did all the UFO pictures? He had like a photo album that he carried around with all the UFOs that he took on his property. I mean, this is a well-known story, and for some reason I'm just drawing a blank. But
I can't remember his name.
Yeah,
that's how important it was.
It's in Austria or in Germany or somewhere that this guy lived, and he took all these pictures of UFOs that came to his property. It was a really well-known story. People flocked there, or went there to study under him or to learn from him and things like that. But anyway, I can't end up like that guy. I'm just not that guy. I mean, so I'm not. I'm confused by why didn't he do it to you? with all the phone calls you were on, I mean.
Maybe I was just not there at this time.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, well, I mean, it just seems like if something needs help and desperately, because believe me, Don and I heard, that they needed help in there like 5 times.
Yep.
Well, this piece of audio is only 6 minutes long, so in a 6-minute noisy mess, we get like we need, or I need help, or help me to something. I mean, we're hearing all of this stuff, and I'm just I'm just hoping that it's not something that I need to pass on to the world, because I mean, I just can't be that guy.
Well, Chuck, sometimes you just can't pick and choose what you want to do.
Oh, yes, I can.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. I mean, if something's choosing me to pass on a message to the world, that's just not going to happen. I cannot be that, that guy that gets written about on Global Paranormal,
You know how that writer is on
yeah.
He's just out of this world.
Yeah, that idiot Chuck Manning over there at Global Paranormal writing stuff up. So
I've heard he's quite sexually attracted to squirrels now.
Yeah.
Sorry, I had to throw that in.
But I'm telling you, that was, I mean, I really didn't want to write the article because
Chuck,
it was.
Hang on for a second. I have another call. Hold on.
Why do I have to hold on? I mean, I'm doing a radio. What, I just sit here quietly while you answer the phone? Anyway, so I mean, I'm the whole thing about this story is that everything that I guess I believe about the paranormal, where we're really not dealing with a religious heaven and hell. We're dealing with light and darkness, good and bad, good and evil, whatever you want to call it. That we turn into, for lack of a better term, I guess, an astral energy that we for some reason have chosen to assume our bodies, to become a human, and we may do that over and over again, which would explain reincarnation. I mean, a lot of these things, that her dealing with mediums and communicating apparently to her son have really answered a lot of at least questions I've had. Through a medium. So, like I say, I'm not a huge believer in the metaphysical, and I've been shown the errors of my ways, believe me, by many a medium and psychic. But I've never had a reading that has ever netted a positive. It's always, you get one or two things right, and the rest of it is all just bunk. So I've just not had a good experience, I guess, with psychics and mediums, and so I'm just not a huge believer in it. But all the questions, or everything that I believed about the paranormal seemed, or at least are part of it, dealing with life after death, was right in line with what this medium was saying. And I'm not so sure that what I believe happens to us is any different than what somebody who is in tune with the metaphysical would believe. So I'm not so sure the two things are different. So my philosophy, or my theories, and what people in the metaphysical would believe. So I will say this: I don't have a single solitary psychic bone in my body. And all of you who say that we're all psychic, I say bunk. Obviously, I'm not open to it, so I guess I'll just remain without a psychic bone in my body. Okay, so oh yeah, that can't ever be good. Yeah, that can't ever be good when you kick yourself off the air like that. That can't ever be good. When you flip the wrong switch and turn yourself off. That's not good. Of course, my ex-wife probably thought I turned her off all the time. All right, so anyway, thanks for listening to the program. I guess Don's dealing with a homeowner, and so I will say good night for Don. Next Wednesday, we will be going over some video evidence that was captured in Texas. Great. I mean, we've covered this story before, but it certainly deserves covering again. And we're going to be doing the investigation Don did, where he captured the arm coming out of midair. So out of Keller, Texas. So we're going to cover that. And a couple of other great topics next week, so you're definitely going to want to tune in for that. Tomorrow night at 9 p.m. Eastern, hopefully, the Lord willing and the creek don't rise, Don and I will finally be doing our police state program. So we're going to be covering, all the crazy things that the government is doing to turn us into a police state. And they're doing a very good job of it every day, it seems. So we're going to be covering some things, including the Denver law that's trying to work its way through in order to give the Secret Service the ability to arrest sheriffs in Colorado for not enforcing laws, even if they are unconstitutional, according to the sheriff, which is a big check and balance. I mean, right now we elect our sheriffs, and they are the last stand between us and the federal government. And if we begin to allow them, meaning the Secret Service or any federal agency, to have the ability to arrest a sheriff and replace him, what recourse do we have left? I mean, we have none. They are our last hope in tyranny, and if we allow this to happen, then we might as well just bend over and take our tyrannical licking, so to speak. For the children listening, we will keep it clean somewhat. So that's going to be tomorrow night at 9 p.m. It's the police state, and we're really looking forward to doing that program. Also, Going Beyond Radio is commercial free. We do play promos, but we don't do commercials. We're not selling advertising any longer. The hosts now can get sponsors for their program, but the network itself is commercial free, and that's because we're relying on the help from our listeners. So if you like what you hear on Going Beyond Radio, buy us a cup of coffee, drop us a $5 bill and help us out with paying the bills, and as Dick Cabeza says on his show, we need your money. We need your money.
We
He's
do.
probably
We
listening.
need all the money we can get.
He's probably listening right now. So, yeah, Dick, if you guys haven't heard Dick Cabeza's show, you should really listen to it. Last week he did a show on the paranormal in the 80s, and not the paranormal in the 80s, but two separate topics, and which is kind of funny. So yeah, you really should check Dick Cabeza out. He's on Monday nights at 10 p.m. Eastern. So thanks for listening, and we will certainly take if your emails. I mean, if you if you want to be on the show, you can hit us up at proveitpodcast@gmail.com. And we'll take your evidence, bring you on the program, and let you tell us how you captured it, and all about the location, and find out about your team, and we'll let our audience prove it. So, love getting your emails.
For all the millions that's been listening tonight, and the thousands in the chat room, we appreciate you coming in. God bless you. Keep you safe. Sam, thanks again. Good night.
Good night, everyone.